This is the scariest place that I have ever traveled to in my life. When I was researching places to go to for this channel, I saw an article online about a lake in Canada that has the spirit of a young girl who died tragically. People visit the lake at midnight and they say that she tries to communicate with them. It's said that if you take your own life at the lake, then the water will bring you back from the dead. And if you hear whispers and voices while standing by the shore, then you should run away immediately. It was very strange because they were just scattered everywhere. There were windows and doors missing, and the roof had collapsed in on itself. These ones were newer than the ones I found near the shore, and I could actually read the names. Her older sister, Mary Jane O'Brien, is visiting from California, and the two were swimming at Haunted Lake when Mary Ellen got into trouble. She tried to swim to an island in the middle of the lake, but she started to struggle and get tired. I think he might have been trying to get me to follow him off the cliff. I was very cautious, and I didn't fly too close to the edge. But this is the closest footage of the fall that I could get. Mary Jane screamed for help, but no one was around, and Mary Ellen eventually disappeared below the surface. No one knows exactly how it was formed, but it's safe to say that it was created from a glacier thousands of years ago. Over time, debris from the glacier melted and collected in the valley, forming the lake we see today. The wind was very light, and it was barely moving, but the drone was shaking violently. It was trying to take off, but it couldn't. Apparently, there was a group of boys who were camping near the lake, and they were awoken in the middle of the night to what sounded like screams. They went outside of their tent and witnessed what they described as the most horrifying creature imaginable. It had the body of a deer and the head of a wolf, was standing on its hind legs, and it was howling at the moon. The boys ran away and haven't returned since. Had to land it again multiple times, and each time it just started shaking again. I'm not sure if there's any truth to these legends, but I would be very cautious if I were camping here. The forest is full of dangers like poisonous plants, wild animals, and cliffs. But there may also be evil spirits that want to harm you. I'm not sure if there's a scientific explanation for this, but I do think that there are spirits here. I think that they might be attached to the lake because they do and want anyone to find their bodies. Or maybe they want people to keep searching for them. I found a report from the government about the lake, and it says that it covers 246 acres and is 233 feet deep. I soon realized that it was much larger than what I expected. All of the rocks and boulders were exposed, and it made it easy to walk along the shore. I thought this was very strange because I've never seen this before. I asked a local resident about it, and she said that this happens every couple of years, but not this severe. It looks like half of the lake has dried up. I think this is very important because sometimes the water level drops and people can find human remains. It's believed that these are from Mary Ellen, but the police have never confirmed this. I had never seen the entire thing before, because I always approach it from the other direction. But I'm glad that I got to see it because it really is beautiful. It was very peaceful, like nothing had happened here in the past 100 years. I wish that I could have captured more of this beauty, but I was limited to just using my phone. Divers searched for her body for a week, but they couldn't find her anywhere. They think that it's just a man-made phenomenon. They say that when you walk around the lake, you can hear voices because the water makes the trees sway. I thought this was very interesting, but I still believe that there are spirits here. I just think that they are very shy and hard to detect. Maybe they're hiding because they don't want to be disturbed. It's believed that she is still at the bottom of the lake to this day. Most of them were from the same family, so I think that they were all related to the girl who died at the lake. One of the graves belonged to a baby, and it said Mary Ellen O'Brien, who passed away in 1978. The baby was only alive for a short time, so it was probably very difficult for the family to move on after losing her. I think that's why so many family members are buried at the lake. They never left. As I walked around the cabin, I could feel a strong sense of sadness. It felt like someone was there watching me, but I couldn't see anyone. This is where the story of the ghost girl comes from. Apparently many people have died at the lake. After hearing about Mary Ellen's death, people started coming to the lake at midnight to try and speak to her spirit and warn others about the dangers of the water. One of those people was a teenager named Peter. He wanted to contact the spirit of Mary Ellen so that he could tell her that she was alone. When he arrived at the lake, he heard a voice telling him to run away. Of course, he didn't listen and decided to stay another night at the lake. A few months later, Peter was hiking by himself in the forest near the lake when he fell off a cliff and died. His body was found near the same area where I landed my helicopter. It's possible that this was the caretaker of the cabin, but it's also possible that it was the spirit of the girl who lived here. I didn't expect to find graves at this lake, so I was very surprised. Some of the headstones were relatively new, but others had been weathered by time. So, I don't know who these people were or why they were buried here. I thought that maybe they were family members of the girl who died at the lake, but I couldn't read their names because they were so old. Maybe if I go back in the summer, I can get some better footage of these graves. And when I read this, I thought it would be really cool to travel there and do some ghost hunting. But I don't recommend anyone going there because it's quite dangerous. The girl who drowned apparently stayed in that cabin before she passed away, so I thought it would be a great place to start my ghost hunting. When I arrived, I did hear some strange noises in the trees. I couldn't see anything, but there was definitely movement, and it sounded like something large was moving around. After a minute or two, everything went silent again. There are no roads leading to the lake itself, and you need to hike through the forest with a lot of elevation change in order to get there. So I hired a helicopter to take me straight to the lake, so I could do my investigation without having to hike in. I thought this was a really good idea until I realized that my camera equipment would unfit into the helicopter. So I had to leave all of my cameras and audio gear behind and just go in with my drone and my phone. So this video and the audio from it is being filmed on my iPhone. I asked the pilot to drop me off on the other side of the lake because I heard that there is a cabin over there. As I was walking towards the cabin, I could see that there were a bunch of graves near the shore. The cabin was in pretty bad shape. You could tell that it had been abandoned for many years and nature was starting to reclaim it. While I was walking around the lake, I saw that there were even more graves hidden amongst the trees. I flew back home that day and I researched the name Mary Ellen O'Brien. It's when I found out that she passed away at this lake. Mary Ellen's death had a huge impact on the community, and people started saying that if you take your own life at the lake, then the water will bring you back from the dead. I flew back to the lake the next morning with my drone, and I flew it over the area where Peter died. After leaving the cabin, I started walking around the rest of the lake. I've even talked to many locals in the area, and none of them believe that the lake is haunted. When I was doing research for this trip, I could find very little information about the lake itself. As I was walking along the shore, I could see that the water had receded quite a bit. I didn't get any ghost activity on my phone, but I did get some strange things happening on my drone. One of the most disturbing stories that I heard about this lake was the legend of Skinwalker Lake. I think this legend might be connected to the death of Mary Ellen because skinwalkers are known to lure children into the water and drown them. So do you believe that there is a ghost girl at Haunted Lake? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.